Ah, yeah, D, that's you, baby.
You know what I'm saying? Ready for the work Zoom. Yo, got mine, order mine. You know what I'm saying? Got my Margot Priestley. You know what I'm saying? Got my head turban on. Listen.
That's a good look. But I just want to say one thing: we not gonna get nowhere. As a people,
it's good product placement. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? If Nick Cannon can do it, why can't I do it? You know what I'm saying?
There you go, make it work, man. Make it work.
You know, I think these things might give me some muscles.
That's hot.
You know?
That's hot.
But
not on you, but it's hot on somebody.
This goes to show you how far Chop It Up will go for their sponsors.
Listen.
We work for you.
That's right. We work for you.
Bro,
you can own us.
I was gonna put on the earrings too, because they got earrings and everything. You know,
my nerves.
I was gonna put on all the accessories. I was gonna accessorize my stuff. Yeah, you know. No, so we having a little fun today. So like, I thought about like, hey man, we just chop it up one of my ugly friends and whatnot. Man, this is a good brother, man. You might have seen him a lot of places. He hosted the show. He's the youngest person to ever host Showtime at the Apollo. He did Def Comedy Jam. To me, his best. He was on 93.7 The Beat in Houston, Texas. But his best job I ever seen him had, he's a girl dad. And he's one of the best fathers I've ever seen out here do it, man. Welcome, Rudy Rush.
What's up, Rudy?
What's up, Rudy? How you doing, brother?
Hey,
how you doing?
Looking like one of them ugly chicks you bring to the crib. Yo, you bring a chick like that to the crib. He's like, yo, she got a lot of money, right?
Yo, we're gonna start calling D Precious. Hey, Precious.
That's hilarious.
Yo, what up, Rudy, man? Yo, me and Rudy go back 20-something years, man. We was young when we met, man, a long time ago. I was there the first night that you got on stage, Rudy. I think
you know what? Yeah, unfortunately for you. Yeah.
You did bomb, but you came back, brother. You did bomb, but you came
absolutely. Back. Yeah, it's been a journey.
So Rudy, man, what made you get into the comedy business, brother?
You know, it's funny, when I got out of high school, I went to high school in South Carolina for about 3 years, and came back to the city. You know, I'm from Harlem, New York, and I started working at a law firm on 55th Street. And this is why I kind of like, you know, I don't want to start preaching already, but this is kind of what I tell the younger generation. If you watch and if you got kids,
Rudy, I hate to interrupt you. You said you went to high school for just 3 years?
Well, 3 years. I was in an advanced program. I went to Andrew Jackson for 1 year.
Oh, okay. You left that
out. Andrew Jackson and John Bell. Then I went to South Carolina for 3 years to finish high school.
Oh, okay.
Rudy had a real small classroom where they never left the room. They stayed in the same room.
A little short bus, right?
Yeah, a little short bus.
He wore a bib. And whatnot.
Yeah, so I always tell young people, like, you know, how I came into comedy. I was always a funny dude, like a class clown sometimes, I just had a great sense of humor. And I worked at a law firm on 55th Street. And it wasn't me, it was actually the people who worked there who noticed that I had this talent. And there was this older Jewish lady, she was like, yo, this is when Living Color was still kind of on, but people were leaving to go do movies and stuff. And they had a big audition. Long story short, she made me promise to go, you know, like, go, you'll make it, I promise. And I got like 4 callbacks. And I was like, yeah, maybe I am funny. So that's how it started. So I started at the New York Comedy Club doing an amateur night, and I hadn't started, you know, and I hadn't stopped since. Like I worked there another like year and a half after I started, and then it just took off.
Okay, so I caught you on the second bomb night there. I caught you at the Boston Comedy Club then. That's what
you caught me when I was doing the White Club for like 2 or 3 months. They had me feeling safe. I was like, yes, right, I'm the funniest black guy ever. I went to one of them black rooms. They was like,
yo, chicken wing. We call the first night he bombed. Chicken wing. We call it the Rudy Rush.
Yeah, he did.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Let me ask you this question, Rudy, if I can. You know, lately we've been talking about some of the criticism that people look at. I think Kevin Hart's special came under fire from other comics. And one of my friends was saying she thought there was kind of like a fraternity amongst comedians where you wouldn't really publicly, you know, kind of dissect someone else's art. Is that a thing now? Is that an unwritten rule, or are we kind of going into a gray area with that?
Well, I'll be honest. You know, like all press is good press. The good thing now is like comics want to have beef so people can talk about it so they can.
Correct.
So when comics like Mike Epps to say something about Kevin or Michael Blackson getting into it with Gary Owen, D, comics, most of them. Now Mike Epps is a different situation. He'll throw them hands, but most comics ain't trying to throw no hands. So it's a safe place to say what you want to say and do what you want to do, and it gets a little bit of pub as far as the publicity. But yeah, you know what? It used to be a rule against going in on cats like that, but now it's open season.
Yeah, like when we like I'm not saying we coming up, but we all in the comedy club because you think about Rudy came up. We was in the club. Mike Epps. It was Chappelle was there. We had everybody was back then. You name it, blacks. Everybody was in the same room. It was a different atmosphere back then compared to how the comedy scene is now. And it was a lot more. It was a lot more respect. And then sometimes cats bring it on when they get to a certain position. They get this little air about themselves, which I understand because I've been on both sides of like the hustle and the famous side. I used to always feel bad when I used to see, and the fellas, you probably experienced this before. You see your favorite celebrity, you be like, "Yo, what's up?" They be like,
"I don't know you."
He's a sucker, you know what I'm saying? But to be honest, working on the Apollo, doing stuff around Steve Harvey and all these other celebrities that I've been around, every third or fourth person is asking for something crazy or some crazy person, and it turns you into this person that kind of cuts yourself off from being a fan-friendly person. So it's a easy thing for me to see, but it's tougher sometimes for people to see people like Kevin Hart or Mike Epps being a little distant. Ricky Smiley's another one that's known for not wanting to take pictures and stuff like that. So it's a crazy business.
Hey Rudy, let me ask you a question. You've been, like you say, you've been around a lot of these big comedians and everything. These guys are celebrities and stars now. Like, what is the one thing that you think that you've seen they all sort of have in common? What's the one thing you glean from them?
They always say comics come from a dark experience, and I'm no exception. But I think that with Kevin, he wasn't an overnight success. As D could tell you, he used to be running behind us and going on first on a New Jack segment and stuff. Yeah. He just had a different work ethic, but he was built for it because I wouldn't say because of his stature, because he's a small guy, but you all guys know that guys that seek that attention, he was ready for it. Most guys, are not one to be like, oh, let me clown around with these people or hang around this or tolerate. A lot of men don't tolerate certain things. Word. And it doesn't mean you're less of a man. It's just certain things, me personally, I've been in rooms, I was like this, yo, somebody gonna get hurt and they gonna act like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So it just so when I saw how he maneuvered in certain aspects and stuff, it was different. And just like with Steve and those guys, Hollywood, they accept and they appreciate older black men. They ain't play with them dudes. That's why the Kings was able to do what they did, because it was on a respect level. You ain't about to disrespect no 40-year-old, 50-year-old grown black man. You ain't about to do that. And so that's why that was a great movement for them and for comics altogether, because it propelled us into a whole nother level, making a whole different level of money.
Hey, Rudy,
Rudy, we got a question. They want to know, can you share your experiences working with Doug Banks?
Oh, shoot. Let me tell you. It was actually, I worked on that show for 8.5 years, and it might have been one of the more difficult, comfortable. It was like the most family situation I've probably been on. It was great money. It was great. I had an opportunity to do something different. They took him off from BLS in New York, and they offered me the gig. And at the same time, Doug had offered me, a gig on his show. It was $50,000 less. Had no radio experience really up until that point. I was like, let me go work with a legend. Let me figure out how to do it, because I'll get on in New York, and I'm from New York. So it's a little harder to win where you from sometimes. People be like, nigga, that was funnier than that nigga on the block. I was like, let me learn from a vet, him and Didi, and I felt like, taking that $50,000 hit at the time, for me, I was making great money on the Apollo and things like that. So I was like, oh, it'll keep coming. And it did. It fed me well, because my career actually did pretty good even after leaving this show. But working with Doug was fun, because like I said, I learned so much, and it was fun, and I got to go all over the world and all over the place. So it was actually really cool. And even though I got let go of his show after my eight and a half years there, you know, people have grudges and stuff, but just to show you how things come full circle, I hosted his funeral. His wife called me. She was like, I can't think of anybody, because we became friends after I left the show. So it just shows that, you know, sometimes things are for you. You gotta move around. And me leaving the show, I was a little tight at first, but at the same time, I was like, it made me a better comedian, a better radio guy. So, you know, don't ever look at things like it's a total bad thing. Sometimes you gotta leave.
And the thing is, you took a lot of experience with you, right?
I did. And you know what's so funny was it was like the Karate Kid, that wax on, wax off shit. I went to a new job. I was like, oh, this what he meant. Okay. Yeah. And people was like, how you do that? I was like, I watched this dude do it. I used to make fun of him. And now I'm, you know, doing things in radio terms, like, you know, hitting the post and things of that nature, which most comics couldn't do. I can go rip a stage with Lil Wayne for an hour when he, you know, it just put me at a different place as far as radio and comedy at the same time.
Yeah.
Rudy, let me ask you a question, man. You know, you and I talk about this a lot. Joke jacking. I can't stand it. I can't stand comedians that rob. People don't understand. Can you explain what joke jacking is and how it comes about, and with younger comedians to older comedians, how that all plays out, man?
Yeah, there's a lot of joke jacking going on. There's two specials with my jokes in it right now. It's like I feel like Jadakiss right now. Sign anything like Rudy Rush, sign right here, because like I got the blueprint for a few guys' jokes. I won't put them on blast, but joke jacking has been going on from the beginning of time. The great Robin Williams was a notorious joke thief. Carlos Mencia. There's a few African American comics. Arnez J. I love him, but he's been known to steal jokes and stuff like that. Sometimes it's flattering. Sometimes it's like, you know, you patting yourself behind a person so much you don't even know you're doing it. There's some blatant guys who do it out there, but yeah, it used to be met with some aggression, like Ricky Harris and Martin Lawrence back in the day. Freeze Love had to smash out on SJ. It used to be real physical. Now, you know, everybody got Twitter fingers. Everybody know everybody in the hood now. These famous people got gang affiliation. You be like,
put the shooters on you, man. Damn, oh, Joe.
Yeah, it's still jokes now. All you gotta do is have a friend that's a Crip. You like, man. Go to mom.
Man.
So,
Rudy.
So it's a lot. It's not as much. I mean, if it is going on now, it's not step two at all as much as it was in the past. It was the Wild Wild West back in the day.
Yeah. Rudy, do you think that comedy's changing a lot with all these internet comedians with all these skits and stuff like that?
Absolutely. It's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. You get the good and the bad with everything. Just like with Def Jam, it brought a whole flurry, like a plethora of different comics that you would never see before. So I'm sure the comics that was eating at that time, like, God damn, this BT Comic View is Def. You know, they were mad that the young comics was coming in. Now, I do feel like these internet comics, they have something really good, but they have to sustain it. And some of them are, and some of them are not. They're messing up because they get these big budgets. These schools or these places are like, oh man, this dude's got 50,000 followers. His skits are funny. They bring him to a show and they give him 20 grand. And he don't know how to tell a joke.
Correct.
But there are some who's smart, who get on stage and try to follow or learn how to host and get some other comics, take that 20 grand, chop it down to 7. And divvy it out and have some longevity. So I commend those guys because I work with a few of them in Houston and try to give a platform to those guys while I was there. So I commend them. But yeah, there's a give and take. You know, things got to evolve all the time.
Rudy, let me ask you a question. What are your 3 favorite comedy specials of all time? Not comedians necessarily, but your 3 favorite comedy specials.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I was talking about that today. A lot of people call Dave Chappelle a GOAT. And maybe because I work with him and I know him, it's almost like those guys you think hate on Jordan because they played with him.
Right.
You can't discount Eddie Murphy. That Raw was ridiculous.
Sick.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, and what he did in his career and all that stuff. It was just paramount. Even Richard Pryor, he had good specials, but that Raw made you everything from every black comic. When you got your special, you tried to put on some leather.
Yeah.
Go check it. Martin Lawrence,
You know
right.
what?
Martin
He's right.
Mike Epps, Kevin Hart, me. Everybody done put on some leather.
Dudes was wearing leather drawers back then.
Yo, Eddie Murphy, and because one of my people was like, yo, but he stopped doing. He don't do comedy. He didn't have to. No. So that's one of my favorite specials. I actually, you know what? Dave Chappelle, the first of the last two specials he did, like one of the Sticks and Stones, I thought that was really good. It was clever. It was real funny. So I kind of put that up there. And then, be honest with you, Wanda Sykes had put it down one time. Like one time, Wanda Sykes, I was like, and I'm a comic, so you have to excuse, like, it wasn't a critically acclaimed, but as a comic, it was just punchy, punch. She was real. And for a woman comic to go out there and do that, because they always so they always running against the grain because they don't get as much props. I thought Wanda Sykes was dope, so I put her in my top 5 of all time. Nice. But yeah, that raw, Delirious was corny, but we were so amped off of Eddie Murphy. Delirious is dope too.
Right. You know the most critical, and to me is the corniest dude that always like criticizing other comedians. Faison, the fat dude. Yeah, well, he's a hate on everything. Like, I mean, like, dude, you're not funny. What's your favorite Faison joke? Him playing Big Worm.
That's not a joke.
Exactly.
That's a character.
I don't consider, and I'm not gonna sit up here and say I don't consider Faison a comic. He's a comic. He's a comic that's very opinionated. Like, I would rather him be like Ari Spears got a big opinion too.
Ari Spears.
He be stepping out of line too. But but he's funny.
Yeah.
I give him that. You know what I'm saying? At least he back it up. I've never seen Faison funny to the point where, yo, I gotta go see Faison.
I didn't know he did stand up.
There you go, and that's just fact.
I never did. Now, there's one thing I always want to ask a comic, and this I'm so impressed with comedians for this regard. I've gone to comedy shows and seen the comic out front, and I realize it's their job. They're just in their headspace or whatever, and then when that light comes on, and it's just you guys hit another gear. I think it's impressive. Anybody can be funny at moments, but you are paid to be funny and have to do it on cue. But I always wondered how you guys do the transitions between jokes. Like you just mentioned, when I think about Delirious, I think about 6 bits. And I mean, at one point, I'm looking at Eddie's transition. He's like, oh, man, it's hot in here. If anybody hears the ice cream truck go by, let me know, get me something. He goes right into it. How do you guys, is there something, you guys don't have a prompter or anything, you're on stage. How do you keep these stories and mesh them together? That's what always impresses me.
Well, yeah, a lot of us have a routine, but then there's certain triggers in the audience that things will happen. A joke will be so hot that it comes in a lot hotter than you even anticipated, which all comics want their jokes to come in a certain way. But if your third joke it sounds like it's your last joke, like the funniest joke you ever told, then it starts to bleed into something else. And you have the transitions in your mind, and you see a couple in there, you like, all right, when I finish this joke, I'm gonna ask, oh boy, how long they've been together, or things of that nature. So everybody has a different way of chopping it up. But yeah, there is a plan in your mind. But most great comics got the first 2 or 3 jokes in their mind already, and after that, it's whatever.
Rudy, have you ever had a heckler that ever got the best of you?
Nah, but let me tell you, the one time that I got heckled and it affected me, hosting the Apollo. I'm the host now. I never got heckled as the warm-up guy for 3 years. I'm the host now. Nobody heckled me. One time I heard like, yo, you corny as shit. You terrible. I'm like, who the fuck? I look up in the booth, yo, on everything. I look up in the booth. It's my cousin.
Wow. Yo, no more tickets, no more free tickets for him, right?
Yo, family reunion is over.
Yeah. Fellas, it was my big cousin too. First cousin, he's 7 years older than me, so I looked up to him and all that shit. And this nigga was like, "Yo, fuck you, terrible." I was like, I was already going through stuff because I just became a host, so it was like a nervousness. I was just like, I was shocked. And then afterwards, he was like, "Yo, I was trying to make you better." You know what I'm saying? I was like,
yeah. Thanks, fam. Thanks a lot, fam. Right?
It took years. It took years for him to come around. And to let y'all know how life is. You know how life is. It took years for him to come around. He was like, I'm sorry about that. I was jealous, or I was hating, or whatever, because he was trying to play it off like he was helping me.
Yeah.
So that's the only time that I ever had a moment where it was just, It was just ridiculous. Yeah, that was the worst.
I missed this night you hanging out with Chicken. It was a comedian didn't know you was a comedian. A lot of young cats don't respect us older gentlemen. And can you tell us a little bit about how that transpired? What you tried to teach a moment for that young person?
What was that?
I think y'all was in Harlem. Y'all was hanging out, and the comedian came at you because you came with your glasses on. He was like trying to crack jokes on you.
Yeah. So, fellas, we was at this little comedy lounge in Harlem, and that's where I'm from. So I'm sitting in the audience. Me and Chicken Wing, we just chilling. My man Chicken Wing, and he starts roasting me. So I'm giving him the love. I'm like, he got me. He got me because he didn't know who I was. But he kept going. Then I said, yo, listen. I got up and finished his set, roasted him. Everybody was like, oh, shit. Yo, I did like 15, 20 minutes. I said, that's how you do a fucking set.
Wow.
And I crushed. Yeah. I gave him a chance, though. I was like, yo, I'll let you hit me as much. But he started getting disrespectful. He's like, get glasses, bald-headed ass thing. I was like, nigga.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yo, Rudy.
Sorry,
I always wanted to ask you this. I mean, when you get a new joke, how do you test it? You test it amongst friends, or you test it actually on stage?
Nah, I tested on the haters. I tested on, I tested on, like, if I'm dating a chick at the time and she don't like, fellas, this is one thing, like, y'all keep it real on this show. It is if you got a chick that's at least 75% supportive, you lucky.
Yeah.
Because so sometimes I'll do it on my mom and them. I'll be like, hey, what about this? And when they don't like it, I'm like, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
But let me tell you the one lesson I got in comedy, Chris Rock. I don't know if you was there that night, but Chris Rock came to this club we used to go to called the Boston. And let me tell you, everybody right now.
I was there every night.
Yo, this is before he blew up. That Bigger and Blacker. Remember that Big and Blacker?
Yep.
Yo, he was floating. He was like, all right, he could be cool. He ain't really killed Saturday Night Live. He off there now. He came in there and he bombed terribly. Mm-hmm. I mean, Cass was in the back, nigga washed up, blah, 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 blah. And he just was, and like months later, that Big and Blacker came out. Every joke he told that night, that bomb, was on the special.
Yep.
Wow.
He was just working it out. And that's what gave me, you get these little nuggets sometimes. It gave me I lost the fear of going up there and bombing with a joke. If I know it's funny, I'm a funny guy. I wrote it to be funny. Maybe I'm performing it wrong. Or maybe the cadence, or maybe the timing is off. And that's what he was showing us.
Right.
And if you wasn't smart enough to see that, then you ain't half the cats that was on that night that was clowning them ain't doing nothing right now.
Facts. And we seen them all come through there. Everybody came through the Boston for $5. $5. That was
the best deal in the city. I remember that.
Best deal in the city.
Absolutely. You could be sitting next to Prince or
anybody. Anybody was in there. Everybody was in the Boston. Shit only held like 70 people.
I didn't know Prodigy from Mobb Deep was smaller than Kevin Hart.
Yeah, he's short. They're both short. They're both short.
Yeah. Yo, we was at the top of the stairs. I told my boy Talon, who was running the club, I was like, yo, my man down there like a wild little Mobb Deep nigga. He's like, that is Mobb.
Oh man, that was good. So Rudy, man, one more question for you, man, real quick. What's the top 5 comedians now?
Top 5 comedians out right now. Bill Burr is definitely my dude. I like Bill Burr. Chappelle's up there. Also like Corey Holcomb's always funny to me because Corey talks.
Oh, Corey's one.
He talks for all of us.
That's my dude.
I like Corey Holcomb. Also like let's see, who else is out there right now that's funny. Damn. Mike Epps in a room of 350 people was magical. That dude is hilarious. I'm not a big fan of him at arenas and big settings, but a intimate setting, I think him and Tracy Morgan are the best intimate setting comics. So I'll round it out with them dudes.
Yeah, I
but
give you that. Mike Epps, to me, like you said, when we used to go to the smaller clubs and Mike was there, all of us there every night. I think Mike is better in smaller rooms.
He would say something that he ain't planning on saying, but
oh
it'd be
my
the funniest
God.
thing.
Funniest thing in the world. But you want somebody wrote real quick, but another one said, what inspires you to tell jokes? How you get your inspiration?
You know what? At first it was growing up with my brothers and sisters and not having this and that, and now, the funny thing is, I was telling jokes since I was 19, but I'm over 40 now. I'm 47, and my perspective is different. So what inspires me now is my kids. So I look back and I realize how bougie I am. You know what I'm saying? I be asking people like, yo, people invite me to their crib. I'll be like, yo, what's your water pressure like?
Let me ask Rudy one last one for me. One last one for me. Let me ask this, because I know a lot of people always question this. Do you consider a person that uses writers versus not writers? Is there a difference? I mean, do you prefer to use it? Does it matter?
No, I think having writers, I really think that you have an advantage. If someone can write for you and you can really take it, like, the people used to say Paul Mooney wrote for Richard Pryor. Some of those hilarious jokes, if he wrote those, but most of the time for me, if it's organic. So I'm a storyteller to a degree. Everything I talk about is coming from true experience. So I don't have a problem with it. Even like with rapping, like some of the hottest songs for singers was written by somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people are not performers. They're just artists in a different way. So I don't find nothing wrong with it at all.
Yo, Rudy, man.
Now listen, wait a minute. If the nigga's writing my jokes for this nigga, like, yo, you writing my shit for him.
Hey, Rudy, me, you, and Chicken, we gotta get together and write some stuff, man. We gotta take this paper, man.
Dudes.
We gotta get this paper. Me, you, Chicken Wing, and Rod, you can finance it and promote.
You gotta
we can put together a show. You got some guys some money. You got Kelvin, you got Rod. These guys got some money in there, man. There's a tour going. When after COVID. Yeah, two more questions, Rudy. How's COVID messed up the comedy thing for you, man?
Oh, you know what? There's some good and bad. The good part is like it cut the field down a little bit. If you wasn't a real guy, a real chick doing comedy, you probably back to earth. There were so many places popped up that you could do comedy in. Now you got to be a real comic and go to a real comedy space where they got social, distancing. There's no little spots opening. So now you got the real rugged, the real comics going places. You don't have a comedy night in every city, 10 different shows with some guy who decides he's a comic. That's the good part. The bad part is, it's very difficult because some comics who are real true comics, when the COVID hit, they was booked 6 months in advance. I know they spent that money in February. We all done been there. Oh yeah, I'm getting 20 in September. Let me take this 10 real quick. And that put a lot of comics in a bad position. If you see some of your favorite comics on the road early, that's probably a thing. They got these big houses in California or wherever, taking care of family. So it kind of put some comics in a bad position.
Rudy, man, I want you to promote some things. Tell us about your mama's boyfriend and all the stuff you had that's going on.
So I got a podcast on Fly TV / Griffin Icon right now. It's pretty dope, but I'm actually coming out with another podcast where we tell stories, because we were promoting it on IG and it turned into like this great storytelling thing and got a bigger fan base. So we're gonna be coming out with that. Your mama's boyfriend. We on the second season right now, and it's everything that you either been through as a kid or you went through dating chicks who got kids. It's a funny little like one-on. It's a minute and a half, but it's a nice little sketch thing that goes into the whole interior of this dude. He's a savage. He's a nice guy, but he eating the kids' food, drinking the Capri Sun, using the bathroom and calling them in there. The dude is ratchet. Also, just working on some projects right now that I'm gonna be out in California, and then working on getting back on the radio. There's some great projects that may be coming up with some big names, myself being one included in that. So I'm really looking forward to that, if that's a possibility. But yeah, just seeing what the next situation is gonna be like. So if y'all can't follow me at Rudy Rush, and it's always something going on.
On Instagram, give us your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Yeah,
stuff,
everything right? At Rudy Rush. And then, like I said, I got the girls for Christmas, fellas who do child support. You know how it is. I ain't getting
Hey, I ain't got to pay this month.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yo, this is a first.
I can't find it, but I got a check from the Attorney General because they took some of my money and they gave that shit back.
Wow.
That's a win. That's a win.
I got 3 of them. I told her, I said, yo, you could give it back to me. She was like, that's my money. I was like, okay.
Yo, Rudy, you're one of the best girl dads I know, man. I love you. I love what you do with your girls, man. This dude had me crying one time with this video he did with his daughter. took his daughter to the prom. That joke was dope. That was really dope.
I love my girls, man. And I just try to give them everything that I didn't have. You know, that's how we are, man. Everything that we lacked as kids, I'll try to give it to them. And I feel like that's another thing with my career. I don't feel like it stopped me from going there, but I felt like if I went hard, I probably wouldn't be the dad that I am. And I'm very content. I'm very happy. And now I'm still young enough to go and do some of the bigger things. So I'm really happy at the decisions that I made as it pertains to my girl. So yeah, thank you, D.
Beautiful.
Yo, man.
Good.
Salute, brother. Love you, man.
Yeah. Love you too, bro.
I hope you do well at your show tonight, man. All right, man.
Yeah, all right, y'all.
All right, Rudy, stay safe, baby.
Hey, brother, real talk. I'm not BSing. You guys got a good show. I've been on some shows. I'll be like,
what the hell is this, right?
I'm gonna say this because everybody's not gonna say it. You guys listen to each other. You guys gonna talk over each other. I kind of like that. You know, you guys got a great synergy and stuff like that, even with the joking with each other and stuff. So, y'all, I'm telling you, keep up the great work and thank y'all for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rudy.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate the love, brother.
All right, man. Later.
All right, peace, bro.